Once upon a time, there lived a beautiful lady named Madame Gina. She was 35 years old and very smart. Madame Gina owned a modern restaurant in the city. The name of her restaurant was Stomach Affairs. People came from far and near to eat her food. Her food tasted so good that people called it magic food. Every day, there was a long line outside her restaurant. Some customers even washed their own plates just to get food quickly. Even rich people, police officers, and big politicians came to eat there. Madame Gina had many workers, cooks, waiters, cleaners, and even security men. She paid them well and treated them kindly. Her restaurant was always clean, and it smelled so sweet that people passing by would stop and come in. But something strange was happening in the city. Many wives started complaining. Their husbands no longer ate at home. They would leave for work early and come back late, only after eating at Stomach Affairs. Some men even stopped eating their favorite meals at home. They would say, "Your food is not sweet. I will eat at Madame Gina's." Some women cried. Some went to the restaurant to beg Madame Gina to stop feeding their husbands. But she only smiled and said, "I don't force anyone. They come by themselves." Soon, people started asking questions. What is the secret of Madame Gina's food? Why is it sweeter than everyone else's? But no one knew. Not even her workers. One night, one of Madame Gina's workers, a young girl named Bella, stayed behind to clean. While cleaning, she heard strange sounds from the back of the kitchen. Madame Gina had told everyone never to go near the small red door behind the kitchen. But Bella was curious. She tiptoed quietly and hid behind the shelf. She saw Madame Gina open the red door and go inside. Bella waited. After some time, Madame Gina came out holding a small red bowl. She looked left and right, then went back into the kitchen. Bella was scared, but she didn't say anything. The next day, Bella told her close friend, Tony, who also worked in the restaurant. Tony said, "We have to find out what is in that bowl." That night, they both hid behind the shelf and waited. When Madame Gina entered the red room, they quickly followed her quietly and peeped through the door. What they saw made them freeze in fear. Madame Gina was standing beside a dark pot. She was stirring something thick and red. She was whispering strange words. Then she took off her clothes and removed a small towel. To their shock, she poured her menstrual blood, her monthly period, into the pot. She stirred it again and said, "Let every man who eats this food never forget it. Let them keep coming back." Bella and Tony ran away that night. They were shaking and crying. The next morning, Bella and Tony told the other workers. Everyone was shocked. One of the waiters recorded everything on his phone and sent it to the news station. That evening, the news was everywhere. Madame Gina cooks with her menstrual blood. The secret behind Stomach Affairs exposed. People stopped going to the restaurant. Some men fainted when they heard what they had been eating. Women cried and shouted. Some people even wanted to beat Madame Gina. Police came and arrested her. The restaurant was shut down. Flies and rats took over the once beautiful kitchen. Her workers all ran away. Madame Gina sat alone in her dark house. Everything she had was gone. Madame Gina sat inside the police cell. Her face was no longer bright. Her pretty clothes were gone. She now wore a dirty dress and no makeup. Her long nails were broken. The police questioned her every day. "Why did you use your menstrual blood to cook?" they asked. She said, "I wanted people to love my food. I wanted them to always come back. I didn't mean to harm anyone." But the police were not happy. The people outside were even angrier. In many homes, women were crying. Their husbands could no longer eat well. Some men became sick. Some said they could still taste the food in their mouths. "I don't know what she did to me," one man cried. "But I can't eat anything else." Some marriages broke. Some wives left their husbands. Children asked their mothers, "Is Daddy under a spell?" The whole city was in pain. One day, Madame Gina's old mother came to visit her at the police station. The old woman was crying. "Gina, why did you do this?" she asked. Madame Gina looked down. "Mama, I wanted to be the best. People laughed at me before I became rich. I was tired of being poor." Her mother held her hand and said, "But now you have lost everything. Even your soul." Tears rolled down Madame Gina's cheeks. The once beautiful restaurant, Stomach Affairs, was now quiet. The lights were off. The chairs were broken. The sweet smell was gone. People threw stones at the signboard. Someone painted, "Witch," on the front door. A rat ran across the floor. Flies buzzed everywhere. The place that used to feed the city was now empty like a grave. Bella got a new job at a bakery. Tony became a bus driver. They both agreed never to tell people what they saw in full. "I don't want to dream about that pot again," Tony said. They kept the secret between them but warned others to be careful about where they eat. "Not every sweet food is clean," Bella often said. Inside the prison, Madame Gina could not sleep. Every night she had bad dreams. She saw blood in her food. She saw people screaming. She saw her mother crying and her workers running. She would wake up sweating and shaking. One night she screamed, "Please forgive me." The other prisoners looked at her with fear. A kind pastor visited the prison. He had heard the story and wanted to talk to Madame Gina. "God can forgive anyone," he said. "Even you." Madame Gina looked at him with tired eyes. "Do you think God can ever love me again?" "Yes," the pastor said. "But you must confess and truly change your heart." She nodded slowly. Madame Gina asked the prison officer for paper and pen. She wrote a long letter to the people of the city. In the letter she said, "I am sorry for what I did. I was greedy and proud. I wanted fame more than truth. Please forgive me. I now know that food should come from love, not evil. I accept my punishment, and I pray that no one else will ever follow my path." The letter was read on the news. Some people forgave Madame Gina after hearing her letter. They said, "She has suffered enough." But others were still angry. "She made us eat something dirty. She broke homes," one woman shouted. Some pastors prayed for her. Some people still wanted her to rot in prison. The city was divided. Forgiveness was hard. One quiet evening in prison, Madame Gina received a strange visitor. He was an old man with gray hair and bright eyes. He wore a long black coat and a red ring on his finger. He looked at Madame Gina and said, "Do you want to get your life back?" She stared at him, confused. "Who are you?" He smiled. "Someone who can make your name shine again, but for a price." Madame Gina's heart began to beat fast. Madame Gina looked at the old man's red ring. It was shiny and glowing. "What do you mean by a price?" she asked, feeling scared. The man leaned closer and whispered, "You used blood before. I can give you something more powerful. Something no one can resist. But you must promise to serve me." Madame Gina stepped back. "Serve you? Who are you really?" He smiled strangely. "Call me Master Zero." Master Zero showed Madame Gina a book. Inside were strange recipes and dark magic. He said, "If you follow these steps, you will become greater than before. People will forget what happened. They will beg for your food again." Madame Gina held the book with shaking hands. "But I'm already in prison," she said. "Not for long," he answered. "I can set you free." Madame Gina looked at the book, and at the ring, and at the man's cold eyes. That night, Madame Gina couldn't sleep. She sat in her cell, thinking hard. "Should I do it again?" she thought. "Should I use dark power to rise again?" She remembered the family she hurt, the children who cried, her mother's tears, and the pastor's words. God can forgive anyone. Madame Gina stood up and looked out the small window. "No," she whispered. "I will not serve evil again." The next day, Master Zero came back. Madame Gina gave him back the book. "I refuse," she said. His face became dark. "You will regret this," he hissed. Then he turned and walked out. That night, strange things happened in the prison. The lights blinked. A cold wind blew through the walls. And by morning, Master Zero had vanished without a trace. 1 week later, the city governor came to the prison. He had read Madame Gina's letter and seen how sorry she was. "You will still face your punishment," he said, "but we are moving you to a better prison farm. You will learn how to cook the right way." Madame Gina thanked him with tears in her eyes. She was moved to a farm where women learned to bake bread, cook soup, and grow vegetables. On the farm, Madame Gina worked hard. She woke up early, planted crops and cooked clean meals with love. The other women began to like her. She told them, "The best food is made with peace, not pain. With love, not lies." She helped teach other prisoners how to cook. She even shared her old recipes, this time without any dark secrets. Back in the city, Bella had opened a small bakery with her savings. She named it Bella's Bites. It grew slowly but surely. One day, a woman came and said, "Your food reminds me of Madame Gina's, but this one feels clean." Bella smiled. "That's because mine is cooked with truth." Tony sometimes helped her deliver bread around the city. One morning at the farm, Madame Gina was cleaning vegetables when a familiar voice called out, "Gina?" She turned and saw her mother standing by the fence with a basket of food. "Mama!" Gina shouted, running to her. They hugged and cried. Her mother said, "I'm proud of you. You made the right choice." Madame Gina smiled through tears. "Thank you for not giving up on me." But peace didn't last long. Strange things began happening at night. Chickens disappeared from the farm. Pots of soup were spilled without anyone touching them. One prisoner said she saw a shadow with red eyes. Madame Gina started feeling cold at night, even when the room was warm. She began to dream of Master Zero, laughing in the dark and saying, "You can't escape me." One evening, as Madame Gina stirred a pot of soup with a wooden spoon, the spoon suddenly caught fire. The fire was blue. It didn't burn the pot. It didn't burn her hand. But it burned the spoon until it turned to ash. Everyone screamed and ran. Madame Gina stood still, her eyes wide. She whispered, "He's back." After the burning spoon incident, the prison farm became quiet and tense. No one wanted to cook near Madame Gina. "She's cursed," some whispered. "She brought something with her," others said. Even the prison officers grew scared. Madame Gina kept praying in her heart, "God, please protect me. I don't want to go back to that dark life." But every night, she heard whispers in her ears. The voice sounded like Master Zero's, calling her name. One cold night, Madame Gina couldn't sleep. She sat on her bed, hugging herself. Suddenly, a black smoke filled the room. The air turned heavy, and then Master Zero appeared, standing at the foot of her bed. "You thought you were free?" he said with an evil grin. "You made a promise when you used your blood. Now you belong to me." "No!" Madame Gina cried. "I didn't sign anything." He laughed. "Your actions were enough." Then he disappeared again. The next morning, Madame Gina told the prison warden everything. She begged them to call the pastor who visited her before. When the pastor arrived, Madame Gina ran to him and cried, "He's back. Master Zero is haunting me." The pastor looked at her kindly and said, "You must fully break every tie with him. We must pray. You need deliverance." That day, he gathered the women and the officers and led them in strong prayers. They anointed the kitchen, the farm, and Madame Gina's hands. As the pastor prayed for Madame Gina, the room began to shake. Smoke came out of the kitchen walls. Pots rattled on their own. Suddenly, Master Zero's angry voice echoed, "She is mine." "No," the pastor shouted. "She belongs to God now." With one last prayer, the smoke exploded like a puff of wind, and everything became calm again. Madame Gina fell to the ground. Her body shook. Then she became still and peaceful. When Madame Gina opened her eyes, everything felt different. She felt light, like a heavy load had been removed. The pastor smiled. "You are free now. Completely free." From that day, nothing strange happened in the prison farm again. The women welcomed Madame Gina back. She became a helper and teacher in the kitchen. She now cooked with clean hands and a clean heart, and every meal was full of peace, not poison. But far away, in a deep forest, Master Zero was not gone. He was watching, waiting. Deep in a dark forest, a hunter named Paul was chasing a wild rabbit. As he followed it, he saw a man standing near a dead tree. The man wore a long black coat and a red ring that glowed in the dark. Paul stopped. "Hello? Are you lost?" The man turned slowly. His eyes were red. "No," he said with a smile. "I'm waiting for someone." Paul took a step back. "Who are you?" The man whispered, "I am Master Zero." Master Zero sat near the fire in the forest, talking to himself. They think I'm gone. They think I've lost. But I will rise again. I need someone new. Someone hungry for power. Someone easy to use. He closed his eyes and saw visions of cities, of food stalls, of people eating and dancing. Then he saw one face clearly. Bella. Yes, he whispered. She will be perfect. One weekend, Bella decided to visit the prison farm. She wanted to thank Madame Gina for helping her become stronger. When she arrived, the women welcomed her warmly. Madame Gina ran and hugged her. You look happy, Bella, Gina said. I am, Bella smiled. My bakery is growing. People love my meat pies. Madame Gina was so proud of her. You're doing it the right way. Keep it clean and honest. But that night, something strange happened in Bella's dream. Bella dreamed she was in a giant kitchen. Pots were boiling but no one was cooking. Then she heard a voice. Do you want more customers, Bella? She turned and saw a shadow with red eyes. No, I don't want anything from you, she shouted. But the shadow came closer. I can make your bakery the biggest in the world. Just one drop, just one secret ingredient. Bella screamed and woke up. She was sweating. She didn't sleep again that night. The next morning, Bella told Madame Gina about the dream. Madame Gina's face turned pale. That's how it started with me. Bella was scared. What should I do? Pray, Gina said. And don't let your heart be greedy. That's how he finds a way in. Bella promised to stay strong. But deep down she was worried. Because ever since that dream, more and more customers had started coming to Bella's bites. Too many flew fast. And someone in a black coat had walked past her shop 3 times already. Bella was closing her bakery when a young woman came in. She wore a big hat and dark glasses. Are you still open? She asked with a strange voice. Bella smiled. Just in time. What would you like? The woman looked around and whispered, Do you want your bakery to grow more than this? I have something special. Bella froze. What do you mean? The woman pulled out a small red bottle. Just add 1 drop to your dough. Bella shook her head. No, I don't need that. The woman smiled, took off her glasses, and her eyes were red. Bella ran inside and locked the door. She prayed hard that night. The next morning, she went straight to the prison farm and told Madame Gina everything. You were tested, Madame Gina said. Just like I was. Bella asked, But why me? Because he always looks for people who are doing well. He offers power to those who are hungry for more. Bella wiped her tears. I want to stay clean. That's good, said Madame Gina. Now let's pray and break every evil plan over your life. Far away, in the forest, Master Zero screamed. She refused me. Again. He slammed his hands on the ground and fire came out. They will all pay. But a loud thunder shook the trees. A bright light came down from the sky. A voice said, Enough. You have destroyed many. Now your time is over. Master Zero tried to run, but the light swallowed him up. That was the last time anyone ever saw him. Madame Gina was released from prison 2 months later for good behavior. She went back to her town, but this time, not as a businesswoman. She started teaching young girls how to cook with honesty and care. She called the group Clean Pots. Bella joined her. Together, they taught people that good food comes from clean hearts. And they always told their story, so that others would never make the same mistake. Once, Madame Gina used her menses, her monthly blood, to cook food just to make her restaurant famous. She thought she was winning, but in the end, she lost everything. She learned that evil secrets don't last forever. The truth always comes out. And no matter how sweet a lie may look, it will bring pain in the end. Moral lesson. Never use evil to succeed. The right way may be slow, but it lasts forever. Clean hands and a good heart are better than magic and shame. Thank you for watching this powerful African folktale to the end. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to our channel and leave the notification bell on for more timely updates. What is your opinion about Gina's attitude towards everything? Give us a thumbs up, share the video and drop your comment in the comment section below.